please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Hello and welcome. You've joined us on Business Lunch. I'm Nisha Podar and with me is Mangalam Malu. Mangalam, good afternoon. Markets clearly losing steam at lunch hour, showing very little amount of energy at this point. In fact, Sensex Nifty close to the low point of the day as we speak. In fact, Nifty 50, take a look at that particular chart, had comfortably conquered the 10,700 level today, but has given up that particular level. What's really a saving grace at this point is the mid-cap index and the Bank Nifty, which has taken the huge amount of drubbing. In fact, led by ICICI Bank, which is at the lowest point of the day. State Bank of India is also in tandem and taking the overall market down. What's really coming in as a saving grace for the frontline indices is the capital goods space. L&T after the results, BHEL, those are the outperformers right now. Autos are also gainers. As far as mid-cap index is concerned, that's really supporting, and that's clearly the reason why the advanced decline breadth is just crisscross and they are neck and neck at this point. Edelweiss, Info Edge are the clear outperformers and really giving a lot of support to the mid-cap universe, Mangla.
Absolutely. A lot of numbers are weighted, so we'll keep an eye out on that as well. So those are some cues we'll be working with. We have the likes of BPCL, M&M, both of them likely to report their numbers soon. But the reason why there is weakness could also be attributed to the fact that there is weakness across the global markets as we speak. Yesterday, the Wall Street was shut, and as was the FTSE. But as we're getting early rates coming by, the Asian markets, they ended by and large lower. The Hang Seng was the key casualty there with a cut of close to 300 points. The European markets, they're at the low point of the day, almost 1% lower on the French as well as the German indices. Both of them should come up for you. There you have it. The FTSE too lower by about 0.9%. What is souring sentiment there is the political uncertainty in Italy. The Italian index is now at the lowest levels since August 2017. Remember, since the elections in March, no large political group has been able to form a majority of the government. So fresh elections out there, and the largest political leader also suggested the impeachment of the president out there. That is weighing down on the Italian index. The Italian bond yields have spiked, as well as the equity markets down about 400 points. So we'll keep an eye out on that. But individual stocks, they're doing fairly well.
Oh yes, and especially on the back of good results, and the market has really been rewarding good results and punishing the bad results heavily as well. Larsen & Toubro is the biggest Nifty 50 gainer today, and that reported a good set of earnings, and the management has also given a very strong guidance for FY19 as well. My colleague Anisha Jain, who tracks that company very closely, gets us all the details and the analysis. Anisha.
Well, yes, Nisha, the numbers were strong. Yes, the company did not meet its FY18 annual guidance as far as revenue is concerned, but the street is taking it all right because the order booking has been strong in the quarter gone by, as well as quarter one has seen some strong order inflow booking as far as the Larsen & Toubro is concerned. Now, in quarter four, the margin also surprises positively because that came at around 13.2% versus our expectation of 12.5%. And also do remember, for the entire year, if you look at X of services business, the margins have expanded by 50 basis points versus the management guidance of 25 basis point improvement. So that is a positive as well. They've managed to beat the guidance when it comes to order inflow as well, because we saw a 7% rise in the order inflows for the entire year. Working capital has improved, has come down to 19.5% level versus 21% that we saw in the quarter gone by, that is quarter three. Now, other than that, what the brokerages say, well, they are pretty sanguine on the stock because the guidance is also strong from the company. Macquarie, for example, says that they expect the company to double the profits over the next 3 years. Jeffries also says that they like the fact that the company is now focusing on balance sheet, and that's the reason the revenue flow has been a bit lower, because they're only focusing on the company, on the orders that is giving them good revenue and good margins. Nomura also says that the working capital levels are likely to remain stable, and that's a positive. Credit Suisse says that exceptionally strong domestic inflows, positive margins, and working capital is what is really working well for the company. In fact, what the street really likes this time around is the management guidance has been strong, 12 to 15% growth for revenue in FY19, order inflow growth of 10 to 12%, and EBITDA margin improvement of around 25 basis points. The management also sounds more confident than it did in the quarter gone by, as in the end of quarter three, and that is the real positive about the domestic infrastructure story as well. In fact, on that note, why don't you hear out the management themselves of what they have to say on how the outlook looks?
It's been a decent year for us, 17-18, and we look to 18-19 with a fair amount of optimism. So we have given a guidance of between 10 and 12% for order inflow growth and between 12 and 15% for sales growth. and we're fairly confident that this is possible as we look into the year. Some extent of revival of capital aggregation in some of the core industries, which leads to the fact that investments are being sought out. More important also from our point of view, we see buoyancy in some of the other geographies that we are present in. In Middle East, probably due to the fact that oil prices are high and last 1 or 2 years had not seen too much of capital spend, we do see the requirements of capital spend both on the hydrocarbon side as well as on the core infrastructure side. We do notice multilateral and line of credit spendings in the continent of Africa, and a fair amount of developmental activities in Far East.
All right, that was the management of L&T, the stock holding up in the green in an otherwise weak market, but spreading some cheer on a Tuesday afternoon in an otherwise red screen. We have Radico Khaitan. That one should come up for you. The stock has seen a sharp rally all of this year, and as our ticker team is alerting us as well, the stock is up 8%. I think it's a record high for Radico Khaitan. We'll keep an eye out on that. But another stock which is up to the tune of a similar amount, 7.76%, is BHEL from the capital goods space. Anisha, how would you read the numbers?
Well, Mr. S. N. Subramanian was talking about the ordering outlook improving, and that is something that we are seeing in BHEL as well. Now, post the numbers, they came out with a release suggesting that in FY18, they have done a total order inflow of around 40,900 odd crores. Now, this implies that the order booking in Q1 has been really strong, because I was going through Motilal Oswal note. They note that in Q1, the order inflow was just around 1,800 crores. Similar was the number for Q2. Q3 was strong at around 12,000 odd crores. But if you take out the implied Q4 order inflow number, that comes at around 25,000 odd crores. And perhaps that's the reason the stock is excited, because Mangalam, other than that, if you talk about the internals, I'm not really sure how to read it, because yes, the margin performance looks better. 12.1% is what they have reported. But if you look at the segment performance of the EBIT, it does not look very strong. The power EBIT has come down by 20%. In the industry segment, the EBIT has gone down by around 57-58%. So something that we'll have to really watch out for what the management commentary is. 4:30 is when they call starts, so I'll hear by the management commentary on it, because the order inflow status as well, what worked out for the margins, is something that we need to watch out for. Back to you.
All right, Anisha, thanks so much for giving us that quick take on BHEL's numbers. Of course, more commentary from the management is really awaited. The stock is exuberant in trade, but take a look at the overall markets.
We're slipping lower. The Nifty is at the low point of the day. Along with that, we have the Nifty PSU Bank Index, which is also at the low point of the day, led lower by SBI. That one should come up for you. SBI too has moved to the low point of the day. Would make sense to pull up the European stocks as well. The European indices have extended their cuts. Remember, they opened weak, and now we're seeing some weakness, further weakness across the European markets. So we have seen cuts go beyond 1% for CAC and DAX. The Italian index earlier was down 1.8% and is now down close to about in excess of 2%. So some weakness extending itself to our markets. We're at the low point of the day. But individual stocks in focus as the Committee of Creditors nears finalization of sale for Ruchi Soya. The race has intensified. Sources tell CNBCTV18 that Adani Wilmar has revised its bid higher to pose a tough competition to Patanjali. In a tough bid environment, lenders are now considering a Swiss auction for the first time in an IBC process for value maximization. Nisha Podar, Nisha, you have all the details. What exactly does a Swiss auction imply?
So this is going to be one of the landmark cases, Mangalam, if it really happens. And remember, IBC process is setting a precedent for all the other ones. So this one is going to be a very big one if they really come to go ahead with the Swiss auction route, which means that they will, the lenders and the COC committee will first discover the front runner. That will be the base price, and then other eligible bidders will be allowed to outbid the highest bid for any particular asset. And once it's done, the highest bid is something that the front runner can really match. That's essentially the Swiss auction route, so that there's maximum value creation for the lenders in any particular transaction. So that's for the first time likely to happen in Ruchi Soya. The lenders still have to put their final nod to it. But right now, remember that for every good asset, there is an intense battle between the promoters, between different companies, like in the case of Ruchi Soya. So therefore, value maximization is what the entire system is working towards. If this had been deployed earlier, this particular system, then probably Patanjali and Ultratech and Binani wouldn't have really gone to court. We also gather from sources with direct knowledge that Adani Wilmar has upped its stake, has revised it to 4,350 crore rupees versus 4,100 crore rupees, which has been offered by Patanjali. So ball in the court of the COC right now.
All right, Nisha, thanks a lot for that. We'll just keep an eye out on whether it maximizes any value for equity holders or not. We'll have to watch out for that, because for Ruchi Soya, remember, the last 7 years, the finance cost has been higher than the company's market cap. Let's move on to another one, then Aurobindo Pharma. That one trades with a cut of near 4%. The street does not seem to be enthused by the management commentary in the conference call held earlier this morning. Ekta is here with the takeaways. Ekta?
Well, yes, a couple of key takeaways from the Aurobindo management in the conference call included that the injectables business declined in Q4 of FY18, mainly due to recalls. However, they have received an establishment inspection report from the US FDA for their Unit 4, which is their injectables unit, as well as Unit 12. However, they will get more clarity once product approvals begin from Unit 4. The antiretroviral business, which declined around 40% on a year-on-year basis, was impacted due to pricing pressure. Now, coming to the US guidance, they said that they can't really give any particular guidance for the US except that it would grow. They expect the US price erosion to be around 8% and however to stabilize at around 5% going forward.
All right, thanks Ekta for those details. Let's also listen to what the management of the company had to say for the growth outlook going ahead.
As far as year-on-year is concerned, it's around 8% in terms of I think last year to this year. Even though I think we are clearly seeing that the direction is definitely changing, because if you see sequentially, the erosion is only 1%. And clearly as we move forward, we expect that to be getting normalized, because generally in the past also generics used to have around 5% erosion. You can take it as that as a new norm is what we are expecting it to be. There can always be changes in terms of plus or minus 1 or 2%, which can happen in terms of I think 1 or 2 quarters. But then on long term, I think we believe it should settle at 5% is our belief. We don't give any guidance per se, except that we can tell you definitely we should be growing. As far as the new product approvals are concerned, even though I think we can look at certain products as starts, and it is important for us to wait and see that emerging rather than committing any number on that. When we talk about growth, it's not purely depending on the new product only. It's a combination of new product as well as the volume growth.
All right, with that, let's move on to the next one. CNBCTV18 exclusive. The Ministry of Corporate Affairs has taken cognizance of Manpasand Beverages auditor Deloitte's move to resign, a move that has caused the company to lose about 36-37% in market cap over the last 2 trading sessions, 2 consecutive lower circuits on Manpasand Beverages. Timsi Jaipuria joins on the phone line with more details. Timsi, what are you gathering?
Yes, as you rightly mentioned, Ministry of Corporate Affairs has taken cognizance of the communication by Deloitte on Manpasand Beverages. Remember, the communication by Deloitte is regarding the alleged misreporting of financials by Manpasand. Sources also in the ministry indicate that there could be a possibility of financial fraud as well. And the Ministry of Corporate Affairs also plans to take action against Manpasand Beverages under Section 143(12) of the Companies Act, which is a very strict provision where government tries and engages with the auditors and gives audit, and it is for the auditors also to take an equal responsibility once they sign the financials of the companies. So MCA is also now planning to rope in SEBI for a detailed investigation and probe into the books of accounts of Manpasand. Remember, in the recent past, this will be first of its kind case where Ministry of Corporate Affairs will be invoking this particular section, that is 143(12), and government will be pushing auditors to take equal responsibility along with companies in case of financial wrongdoing. So this is one of these cases, and Deloitte has taken it seriously.
All right, Timsi, that's a very, very important development there, and all eyes on the corporate governance issues when it comes to the auditors. All right, let's shift focus to the flashes on your screen and take a look at transformers and rectifiers. That particular company has just reported its numbers, and EBITDA margins at 8.6% versus 10.1%, and it's a huge slump as far as the operational performance is concerned, and that particular stock has really reacted. So we'll see more management commentary coming in on that particular performance as well. But let's take it to another big corporate voice on the show. Now remember, after a failed attempt to merge Shriram Capital with IDFC last year, well, Ajay Piramal, whose Piramal Enterprises has substantial stake in Shriram Group, says that all NBFCs are expected to grow fast and he has no plans of monetizing the investment in Shriram Group. And also, Piramal has clarified that there are no plans to merge Piramal's financial services business with that of Shriram Group. Take a look.
We had made no effort to monetize the, let me just clarify, there was no effort to monetize. Last year we had looked at whether there was a merger between Shriram and IDFC, which did not go through. So we are always open to look at different opportunities in the Shriram Group as to what makes sense for the group. The thing is that the group, Shriram, had some challenges in the last few years, more because of the regulatory changes. There was a change from a 180-day provisioning for NPAs to 90 days, which meant that you had to increase provisioning. Now that is behind us. Also, the economy is growing. If you see the growth in commercial vehicles, the growth in small and medium scale sector, which are the areas where the Shriram Group serves in, we find that there is good, robust underlying growth. And therefore, that will also help the Shriram business to grow.
And your own financial services space is also growing very rapidly. Does it call for a rethink on probably a merger of the financial services business with the Shriram's financial services business?
I think I've said this before, and what I find is that the next few years is going to be a great opportunity for all NBFCs for reasons what we discussed before. If we talk about a merger between Piramal and Shriram now, my fear is that 2 years will get wasted in just trying to see that, because finance is all a human, it's a human capital. To try to see that coming together would mean that there'll be a lot of distraction. Both the groups are growing well, so I think this is a time for each one to grow well, and then we should see in the future.
All right, so that was conversation coming in from the House of Piramals, but important flashes on your screen. The government may appoint a new chief for the Bank of India, and it turns out it could be SBI MD P. Shriram. Lata, more details?
Well, this is still at the moment talk, and things can go any which way, but the government is definitely toying with the idea of sending Mr. B. Shriram, Managing Director. He was, in the race for the chairman's position. He was in the race for the DG position, extremely respected banker. And therefore, if he is, of course, does take over as Bank of India MD, clearly that's one person less in the race for the DG, which is, of course, an 8-horse race, but that's one contender going away. Bank of India, Dinabandhu Mahapatra would be asked to head Allahabad Bank, partly because Usha Ananthasubramaniam, because of the PNB issue, had been divested of her powers. Very unfortunate. But in any case, somebody has to head Allahabad Bank. So these changes could come. Now, with these government appointments, it goes all the way up to the PMO. There can be many a slip between the cup and the lip, but these may be the order of changes that could be made public soon.
The Tamil Nadu Assembly session kick-starts, and now opposition is observing a black dress in the Assembly. Now, the Tamil Nadu government has also cancelled the SIPCOT land allotted to Vedanta because of the Tuticorin plant issue. And Jude Sanith is right here with us with more details. Jude, how is the situation on the ground, and how is Vedanta also reacting to this?
Well, the situation on the ground is largely peaceful, as it has been in the last few days or so, especially after that incident which killed close to 13 protesters by way of police shooting. But one of the most significant developments of the day, the SIPCOT, which is, of course, this is the Industrial Development Promotion Council of the state of Tamil Nadu, cancelled the allotment of land for phase 2 of the development of Vedanta's Sterlite copper plant. Remember, this comes just a day after both the Chief Minister's office and the government of Tamil Nadu initiated permanent closure of the plant. And this, of course, happens even as the opposition in Tamil Nadu, led by principal opposition leader M.K. Stalin, is staging a bit of a protest in the assembly, claiming, and rightly so, that Vedanta always has the legal route to get out of this mess, and that's perhaps one of the more standout features of all this reporting that we've been doing. The fact is that even while the Tamil Nadu government has cancelled land allotment, has gone about initiating supposed permanent closure of the plant, Vedanta, of course, will, and in all probability, will take the legal route out. In fact, in a statement released yesterday, Vedanta did say that they're currently studying the government order and a decision will, of course, be taken shortly. So while all of this happens on the ground, that legal route is always available to Vedanta.
All right.